members of the public may address the board on any item, and that's any item on even on the consent. You'll have 3 minutes, and our first speaker of today, open comment time will be Chris Street, followed by Steve Woodford, and then James Rickard after that. Before Mr. Street gets going, would anybody like to address this, even though we took no vote on R3? Would anyone like to address us on R3? Seeing none, thank you. Stephanie always keeps me in line.
Okay, great. Thank you, board. My name is Chris Street. I'm here to talk to you on a presentation made to the board on March 28th regarding the cost and the number of staff for a hand tally of votes in Shasta County. Based on information available in part of the process, there's a 3-page cover letter and a 26-page analysis given to this county on the cost of hand counting tallies. I took a look at this information and put it in an investigation as if it was a forensic accounting exercise. And what I found is that the number given is a 1.65 million additional cost and 1,300 new staff members. My conclusion from the analysis based on the data given in the presentation is that is false. Next page, please. The data analysis, the standard is set by page 11 of the 26-page report, which talks about a requirement by the state of California that votes be hand counted in every election, gave a certain number of it. For Shasta County, there was a number of 5,535 ballot cards that were hand counted. This was a diverse 13 precincts. It came from 11 different areas. There were 2 teams of 8 people, and 69,000, I believe, was the number of people that voted on the last election. This would be the election in 22. But taking a look at this information provided in detail, I broke it down that there were 2 sets of 4 people, that's 8 people. That these 8 people took 8 days to hand tally 8% of the vote. That would be 64 worker days. Taking times number of hours per day, 8 hours, that's 512 hours. In minutes, that's 30,720. You divide through, you can count 10.8 ballots per hour and about 86.4 per day. So it says about 5 minutes it takes to count an election tally sheet by hand. Taking these numbers and dividing them through, you're going to find out the number of staff workers, 8 workers, 64 worker days, 512 hours, taking it at a cost of $20 an hour. You're going to find it's $1.85, the 127,022, and 206,000 in 2020. I believe you could do this with less than 300 workers, both in the federal and by-election. Thank you.
Mr. Street, I did have a question for you. This was a similar conclusion that I had as well. It just seemed like 1,300 new staff. I did participate in the 2012 recount, and based off that analysis, I had similar numbers to yours. Why do you think the registered voters puts this number of 1,300 new staff, which seems to be a very, do you have any idea why that would be thrown out like that?
Well, none of the reports foot. The 3-page says 1,300, the 26-page analysis says 1,200. I talked to my friends who were in the data business. I was vice chairman of a very large tech company, and they said that, you know, when you just have the review in Arizona for voter, I guess, identification, voter that every 3 seconds, they could match out. If you have a professional organization, you probably could do this in about 1.5 minutes. But this is just 8 people, probably staff members who got together, no time structure, no management structure, and counted this 8% of the vote. So there's nothing here that makes any sense for me. It just is wrong. The number I got to was $1.85 based on this productivity per tally. You know, people who do this and get paid by the piece would say it would be close to 40 seconds. That's the way they do it. So I don't see how, and it's a troubling report because I went on the internet and I took a look at this 1.6 million and I have over 100 hits. So this has become a standard around the United States based on data that makes no sense. Why someone would do it? Obviously it's meant to be retaliatory, but it shouldn't be retaliatory if it comes from the county. And this is a county presentation, and that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see somebody go through the analysis again, redo the numbers, maybe they missed something, and come back. But this is something that I believe really has to come to this board next week, or 2 weeks from now.
Supervisor Burger.
Yes, and this presentation that you referenced to, who were you talking about?
It's presentation, this is Kathy Darling Allen. It's presentation dated the 27th, as the cover page.
Right.
It's presented on the 28th.
Have you met with her?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I would highly recommend that you sit down and meet with her and go over the numbers.
Would you like me to make that the process? Would you?
Well, I just say if you're going to critique her information, I think it would be best to get your facts.
I would be happy to do that. This is your facts.
No, I know, but I think having a conversation with her prior to coming to us would be beneficial for you and for us.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Steve Woodrum, followed by James.
Board, staff, public. Do you remember the meeting 2 weeks ago, the meeting in the evening where the fire chief made a presentation? Let's keep that professional report in mind. Supervisor Cry flew halfway across the nation to speak with Mike Lindell. County policy says that supervisors can be reimbursed for travel for official business. Policy also lists 5 different categories of official business. Meeting Mr. Lindell doesn't fit with any of those 5 categories, and yet he got reimbursed. Reimbursement means that was official business, and he owes us a report. What benefit did we get with this expense of taxpayer money? This report should have been on the agenda in open session. Remember how the fire chief did it? Mr. Cry has done nothing. At his town hall meeting, he promised the report during an upcoming TV interview. During that TV interview, he dodged and evaded questions. Can you imagine David Kehoe or Joe Cimenti doing anything like this? This guy is hiding something. He now also presents himself as an expert on elections, and like some others, he can endlessly harangue Kathy Darling Allen. And don't forget, Mr. Cry also suggests he's an expert at negotiating labor contracts. And yet, some people said Leonard Modi was full of himself. I don't get it. Monkey business. While county loses tons of money over this made-up election panic. Monkey business. While hardworking, underpaid county employees walk the picket line. In 1953, I started kindergarten at the Magnolia Street School. That's just 3 blocks that way. I've seen many